It is March Madness Trendsetter, and we are here at the High Spot Podcast, powered by Fast Break Coffee on the Give Us a Shot Network. I am Jeff Martin, alongside my tag team partner, the Trendsetter, Brian Berga, with another edition of the HSP Podcast. Like and subscribe to the show here on YouTube. And Trendsetter, we got lots to talk about today, lots of anticipation. The road to WrestleMania is just drawing upon us, man. We are just now less than a month away. We'll be in Philadelphia, so lots to get to. Trendsetter, follow us on all our social media at iSpot Podcast, and of course, HSP is also available on all our podcast platforms: Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeart. Make sure to check us out there. If you can't watch us here on the YouTube, definitely catch HSP Podcast on all your audio podcast platforms. Trendsetter, how are you doing? Feeling better? You okay? You set for today's episode?
It's set is one thing. That's an understatement. Burnt out, probably. But again, what better way to get burnt out, Jeff, than on the road to WrestleMania? It's something you and I talk about every single time. The closer we get to it, it starts obviously once WrestleMania is over. That's day one, the night after WrestleMania, to next year's WrestleMania. And just a great time, man. Like, again, it's an exhaustion. It's a labor of love. And, you're on no sleep basically during this whole time. But again, I don't care. I'm not going to be one to complain because there's just so much things to go on, so much excitement leading up to not just WrestleMania, but it's just an excitement right now in terms of what we're watching in terms of the product of the not just WWE, but AEW and all the other promotions out there that we speak of. So an exciting time. Wouldn't want it any other way.
You know what? You need to get yourself some Fast Break coffee if you're burnt out. Maybe get some of that Fast Break, and maybe put a little pep in your step. All right, Trendsetter. So before we get raw here on the HSP Podcast, let's talk about John Cena a little bit at the Oscars. What were your thoughts with John Cena? Obviously, another person in the profile in Hollywood. You had The Rock, Bad Bunny. But just real quick on John Cena, your impression of him at the Oscars.
Listen, John Cena has never been somebody who's never taken the next step to possibly embarrassing himself. He's always looking to entertain people more than one ways, I guess, but not the way I would see it. But again, it has people talking, and John Cena has never been bashful of making a fool of himself sometimes, or in this case, an ass out of himself. So kudos to him, man. It takes a lot of guts to do that. It has people talking. It's something that's breaking the internet in terms of people talking about on social media. So if that was the reason why he did it, whether it was promoting the movie or the mere fact that now he's venturing into this new world, which is Hollywood, and doing a pretty good job of it, I feel. What better way to get attention than walk out on stage doing something that nobody would ever dare to do?
See, I would have much rather him do that at the Golden Globes. Oh, get it? Anyways, yeah, more power to him. Trendsetter, I think you should do something like that for the show. How about we get you to do that for the intro one day?
Maybe one day, depending on how many subscribers we get, I'd probably do it.
So there's nothing the Trendsetter won't do for
Or set the gym a little bit more too for myself.
Yeah, so hopefully the Trendsetter.
Yeah, you should be like, no, bro, you're in great shape. Thanks, man.
Well,
first knife in my back, always. And you're saying I'm mean to you. Okay.
Oh well. All right, Trendsetter. Hopefully,
well, okay, you do it.
All you just need is to fine tune. That's about it, Trendsetter. All right, let's get raw, Trendsetter. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw this past week. Lots to discuss, and I just want to talk about how on point Drew McIntyre is right now. He is just hitting on all cylinders. We've talked about this for the last few weeks now, the last few months, that he is just on a whole different level and heading into a Raw, and he had that confrontation with Seth freaking Rollins. And listen, Seth Rollins does not see Drew McIntyre as a threat. Even all this bravado now that Drew McIntyre possesses, the most important thing is that win-loss column, and Seth's got him beat there. So obviously they're setting the tone that right now Seth freaking Rollins, the visionary, is more focused on getting rid of the Bloodline and Roman Reigns than his matchup against Drew McIntyre for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, Trendsetter, he's definitely overlooking Drew. And if you take a look at the betting line, and we're going to talk about the betting line towards the end, but since we're talking about this matchup, all right, bettingonline.com gives you a whopping favorite here for Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is minus 600 to beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania right now. Seth Rollins is at plus 350. So obviously you put your money there. But the big money is on Drew at -600. Obviously, the betting odds will probably increase a little bit more as Seth Rollins gets more in depth here with the bloodline. But just your thoughts. They're clearly Seth Rollins is overlooking Drew.
There's no question. I mean, that's the way they're portrayed to be. He even said it, obviously, that he is his last priority. And again, if you're looking at it from the perspective of Seth Rollins, you can't blame him because he has soundly defeated Drew McIntyre despite all the scenarios that worked against him, still beat Drew McIntyre all the times they faced for the title. And now the mere fact that Seth Rollins is really extending himself here, where he is recovering from a knee injury that's now he's cleared, he's 100% supposedly, still the nagging back, which they like to portray a lot as well, and the mere fact that Drew McIntyre, like you said before, has been doing such a great job of really just showcasing a lot of his personality and doing it in such a great way, where I think he's been in home runs with all these promos and all these things he's been saying one-on-one. It makes a lot of sense. But with Seth Rollins right now, that's a scenario where he's been a fighting champion. And what better way, in the sense, and we'll talk about it when we finally do break down the card for WrestleMania when it's finally official. It's a scenario where Seth is doing this on himself, because now by overlooking Drew, it just leaves the door wide open for, again, many scenarios that could possibly happen. But this is going to be working against Seth Rollins. It's putting the door open, most likely, that there is a more higher probability. You just said the betting lines right there of Drew McIntyre walking out of Philadelphia, the new world heavyweight champion.
That is the current odds, and the way this story is going, obviously it's going to be a big payoff for Drew McIntyre because of the whole bloodline angle. Drew's going into it. That's the only match he's focused on. He's been focused on this title for the longest time now. And obviously, unless something changes, unless Seth freaking Rollins pays Drew some respect, right now, as of today, Drew McIntyre looks to be walking away with that World Heavyweight Championship.
And it's funny how Seth Rollins mentioned to Drew that he reminds him of somebody that he knew, which alluded to CM Punk, which, again, plants that seed of what could possibly happen in the future, not between maybe Seth and CM Punk, but maybe Drew and CM Punk, right? So either way it goes, there's that seed planted for that possibility when CM Punk's ready to go. But also the mere fact that a lot of this stuff does make sense. And I was waiting for Drew McIntyre to say the line, "Stop me when I'm telling lies," because as much as Seth wants to portray Drew McIntyre as this new version of CM Punk, he is telling truths. And Seth is being, in my opinion, very naive of not listening to it, because any champion would pay attention to their opponent. And the mere fact that you're overlooking them just puts bad vibes for Seth Rollins. Karma will come back to bite him.
And I love how the story is intertwined, because obviously they're setting down, when CM Punk does eventually return, a possibility of that feud with Drew McIntyre. So I love how everything is intertwining. And you got to think that Seth Rollins, after WrestleMania, maybe takes some time off, or maybe then turns his attention to Cody Rhodes, depending on what happens on night one. Listen, we'll get into that too as we head closer to WrestleMania with our WrestleMania preview show. But obviously, a lot of scenarios still in play. But obviously, the favorite is for Drew McIntyre to walk away as a new world heavyweight champion. All right, Trendsetter, I've always talked to you about how, or actually you've told me, and we've lived through the best era in wrestling, and that's the Attitude Era. We always bring that up every time we have guests. Everything kind of leads to the Attitude Era. That's the time that we grew up in the Attitude Era. And so when there's talk about WWE getting a little bit more edgier, maybe with TKO and Triple H's vision, maybe it's going to be still geared to the parent, but still, gotta let that demo of the 18 to 49 have a little taste too. And obviously they're trying to, but here's what bothers me. And that's, for as much as we talk about, oh, we wish WWE was edgier, when they do it, there's so much pushback and there's so much sensitivity. And I just wish people just grew a set and would just let things play out. But when AEW does it, because that's been their tradition so far in their early stages, is push that line, curse on live TV, because they can, have these crazy matches where WWE wouldn't touch that. But when WWE tries to, even in their dialogue, do something, and I'm talking about the Candice LeRae and the whole Maxine Dupree situation, where Candice LeRae talked about her dead brother, brings him up, who passed away tragically in 2017. There's a huge issue where people just don't get, hey, at the end of the day, these people read scripts. These people will talk to each other. These people have had consent about what was going to be said in this scenario on a live TV. Yet we have people behind the keyboards on their social media posting, "Oh, how could they do this? Oh, this is lowballing. Oh, this is just horrible." But yet Candice LeRae can bring that up, but can't bring that up, and Christian can talk about dead fathers. Trendsetter, as much as we want the Attitude Era, I don't think society wants that in the WWE, and that to me just sucks.
Well, when we're talking about strictly WWE, there's going to be that resistance to it because as much as people have been talking about this is what they want it closer back to the Attitude Era. They want edgier TV 14 type of vibes. When you do get glimpses of it, people are going to go in an uproar. It just comes with the territory, Jeff. I mean, you and I have been through scenarios similar to this where they've shown glimpses of just paying homage to things that we had seen before in the past that were so entertaining, so wow, I can't believe they said that, or that wasn't scripted, or that wasn't obviously something that you thought was going to happen. But AEW that's been the bread and butter. They've crossed that line in a sense, if there is such thing as a line out there, but they haven't been afraid to test that avenue, test that genre of what they wanted to do, and have done a pretty good job. A majority of what they do on TV is that. Perfect example, like you mentioned, Christian Cage and all the other stuff they do. So if WWE's doing it, there's going to be uproar. There's going to be complaints. But again, these are the same individuals, Jeff, that wanted it. So can't please everybody. But at the same time, by doing this too, under this new regime, it has people talking like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Because
It went too far. Okay, maybe in their mind it went too far. But again, we want you to talk about it. So they did their job.
mind you, this is somebody in Candice LeRae who they've done nothing with. And you're always wondering, and you get the people, the nerds that are like, "Oh, poor Candice LeRae, he does nothing. Oh, she's being underutilized." So they finally have something for her. They're actually capitalizing on all of the brushback that Maxine Dupree's had on live events, being booed from the fans, getting real, vitriol by the fans because hey, she's learning on the job. So they're actually using this in a storyline manner, and Candice LeRae brings up dead brothers, yet Christian Cage can bring up dead fathers. And some of the stuff that Christian Cage has said. And again, we get it because you know what? We have common sense. That's what's missing in wrestling today for the fans that kind of are like, oh, AEW can get away with it, but we hold WWE to a high standard because it's been the family show. It's been the one that you can take your kids. But you know what? Honestly, this whole society needs to grow a set of balls. And honestly, it's the pussification of what we are today as a culture because one company can do it and the other one can't. And that's right. I said a new keyword, the pussification of society today when it comes to anything. But in pro wrestling too, oh, AEW can do it. Oh, WWE can't do it. It's frowned upon. Oh, it's lowball. Oh, WWE's got that sophomoric humor again. Oh, it's ridiculous to me what's going on. I'm all for it. And again, too, you got to remember these are people doing lines. They're doing stuff here. It's sports entertainment. Does it cross the line? Again, go to AEW and you tell me what the difference is between what Candice LeRae and Christian Cage just said. Honestly,
Yeah, I mean, I get your point, and I see and I love the passion behind it in terms of the frustration, but it's always going to be there.
yeah.
Whether you like it or not, and again, people are going to be on one side of the fence for AEW, and AEW does everything right, or that's the way they are. But they're not. Their demographic isn't necessarily younger kids. Their demographic is the die hardcore wrestling fans. So it's okay in that genre. There's always going to be a reason. There's always going to be an excuse why you should or shouldn't do something. To me, it was a breath of fresh air. As much as people want to say, wow, I can't believe she said that, or, crossing a line, whatever you want to say, it's something where now we're seeing a different side of it. We're seeing them take things from real life where, in scenario where Maxine was booed on a live event because they said they sucked and she's horrible, where, come on, can the audience be a little bit more forgiving? And sometimes people say, the product's too intense, when the fans are just as fickle. I'll steal a word from the hypocrite Bryan Danielson. They're just as fickle and they're just as intense and just as negative than everybody else. But again, that comes with the territory when you have, as they say, keyboard warriors out there and they just want to complain and be upset about things and saying that things aren't working the way it should be. And then when you ask them what's the solution, they can't come up with one because all they know is that it doesn't work. I wouldn't do that. Okay, well, everyone wants to play Monday night quarterback or Monday afternoon quarterback, whatever you want to say there. But ultimately, this is another side for Candice that when she's come in, she's really done nothing. She's been here in the main roster, and now maybe this is a side of her that was, She was a heel in NXT, and now it could create a new program and go and touch things at a real life basis in terms of issues that have occurred, and let's bring some realism to it. And that's what everybody wants, but yet people are complaining about it. So hey, it's a catch-22, really.
Talk about somebody that draws emotion and obviously towards the positive, and that is Cody Rhodes. His sit down with Michael Cole, Trendsetter. Obviously, Michael Cole asked the hard questions. How do you trust Seth freaking Rollins? How are you going to put your eggs all in one basket? And of course, Cody Rhodes mentions, you know what? The reward is worth the risk, because we know now if he defeats The Rock and Roman Reigns alongside Seth Rollins, we're going to get a bloodline free Sunday night, and we're going to have Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes one-on-one. We'll see if that's actually going to happen, but that is the gamble. That is his gamble of putting his trust in Seth freaking Rollins. And of course, Cody, with that promo, almost brought to tears when he's talking about his mom presenting her the World Heavyweight Championship. And now it's about everyone's story. You've got a story. I've got a story. Cody's story. It's now do or die. We're in the bottom of the ninth, Trendsetter. We are getting down close. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes. And Cody's fouled off 2 or 3 pitches. And now it's time, man. Now it's time. He's got to just grip that bat a little bit tighter as we head into WrestleMania. But that was an excellent promo. I know people were like, oh, well, he didn't fully cry, or, oh, it was 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. But still, it did the job, in my opinion.
Well, and I'm just so amazed by your baseball analogy there. When we're getting so close to opening day here for baseball that you got to throw that in there. Well, if you ask the tribal chief, we're nowhere near the 9th inning right now. But again, that's his perspective. I think Cody did a really good job. Again, this has been more about, yes, in the beginning, it was always about him completing his story. We knew the reason why he came back. He made that perfectly obvious, and let the crowd know when he came back after his debut at WrestleMania, after being gone for so long, that his main goal is to go for the WWE Championship or Universal Championship. They're calling it more the WWE Championship now more than Universal, believe it or not. So I'm going to call it the WWE Championship for now until they tell me otherwise. But it's been the scenario of his main goal. The world title is cool, but it's the WWE Championship he's wanted for the longest time to hand to his father. That's not possible now, obviously, because Dusty is no longer with us. So the only person he can hand to is his mother. It's great emotion. Every single time Cody does go deep inside his emotions, not anything else. It just shows another layer of just the humanity behind him. I mean, this is real for him. I mean, yes, he's Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, but a big part of what he presents on television is really himself. And that leaves you to be vulnerable to those types of emotions. A lot of people are bashing it too, saying, look at this guy. This is, everybody wants The Rock to be in this spot, not Cody Rhodes. So they're going to complain about it too. But at the end of the day, Cody has the ability of showcasing a lot of vulnerability. And the one thing I feel, similar to The Rock too, I'm not bashing The Rock here too. I'm a huge fan of The Rock as well. But something when you look at stars, at least in my opinion, of what makes a star is that they can be themselves. Obviously, the volume turned up really high is what makes a great superstar, but you have to be genuine. It can't feel as if you're reading something from a piece of paper or a writer's writing something for you. That's one of the things we said so much about Roman Reigns, and like, it just sounds all made up, and the machine's behind him, and so much resentment there. And now you go out there and you see Roman reacting, like, my God, this is gold. This is amazing. Similar to Cody, not in the same light of Roman Reigns, because they're different people, obviously different characters, but there's genuineness here from Cody. Every single time he grabs a microphone, granted, it's the what you want to talk about, but you get genuineness from Cody and you feel it. And that's what draws the crowd, I feel, that are backing him and want him to be in the spot at WrestleMania to, quote unquote, finish his story.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we gravitate towards his passion, and it's what makes us relate to Cody. And it's like I said, like him with that sense of urgency, and him knowing that this would be the last chance that he gets.
He's talking as if this is his last shot.
And
He knows there's no tomorrow after this.
So everything is lined up. There's no guarantee you're going to go through all this again and win a third Royal Rumble, right? So you have to grasp the moment. It's like in sports, like the 49ers. Deebo Samuel goes, everyone says, you'll get there next, you'll be there again and you'll be better. And he goes, well, it took us 4 years to get back to this spot. So you need to take advantage.
And Cody's not want to be the Buffalo Bills of the WWE right now, where you make it to the championship game and then you choke in the end, basically. But here's another thing too, Jeff. Right, when you look at Cody Rhodes, just real quick, and I know we're gonna move on something real move on see further in the show, talk about other topics here. But another thing about Cody that I think is so important too is that when you look at guys like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, I know a lot of people are gonna say, well, you can't put Cody Rhodes in that class, but the one thing, even Roman Reigns, I'm gonna throw in there, John Cena, we've seen them evolve from when they started in the industry to where they were in terms of the caliber of stardom they have been. We've seen The Rock when he came in as Rocky Maivia, Stone Cold Steve Austin as the ringmaster, Roman Reigns as part of the Shield, John Cena, wacky roll-up guy, ruthless aggression, then master of thugonomics. We've seen the evolution of these individuals, and people have seen the evolution of Cody from where he started to the American Nightmare. So I think that's another big part of it too. They've seen him grow up. The audience has grown up with him as well, and that's why I feel there's such a big backing behind him to be the guy, supposedly, but to have this spot for him.
And one last thing too, I think that as we head toward WrestleMania, if he does finish his story, and let's talk about bettingline.com as far as Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is favored at minus 700 right now, and Roman Reigns is at plus 400 heading into Sunday where they have their championship match. So obviously that the way things are leading to is Cody Rhodes finish that story. But again, it's also great to the people that are fans of Cody Rhodes that maybe have bet on themselves like Cody, and he's going to get rewarded. So again, we'll see what happens, and it'll be a great story when we maybe put this in a ribbon in a couple of weeks and talk about him finishing the story and just exactly the impact that this has as far as him going from WWE to AEW back to WWE and taking another chance that it was going to work this time around. All right, Trendsetter. Well, maybe not the story for Chad Gable because he comes up short. And
hey, no short jokes to Chad Gable.
Well, I'm the last to talk about that one. So he does not get a chance to go to WrestleMania. His road has kind of closed, and Sami Zayn has opened up after a few months there where Sami Zayn didn't know how he's going to get to WrestleMania. Now he's vying for a championship. He's got to take the tall order, though, of trying to defeat Gunther, who's been champion for over 600 days. And at WrestleMania, we're going to get Sami Zayn and Gunther for the IC title. A lot of people starting the we stand for Chad Gable, rooting for Chad Gable. You got to understand, man, like there is going to be another day for Chad Gable. They want you to be sympathetic. They want you to sympathize with the guy because he's going to be an underdog story. Is there time to get him in there? He obviously stated in an interview that he's not going to, look for another opportunity. He's going to accept it there, and he did not come up big, did not find a way to win. Sammy did, and he's going to WrestleMania.
It just shows the caliber of guy Chad Gable is. I mean, I've seen Chad Gable in NXT to where he's progressed here, and even the horrible stint as Shorty G. I always felt there's something about him that was just, you could just, again, it's the undefinable quality when you say it factor, right? Do I think he's a top guy? Do I think he's going to be the face of the company? No, I'm not going that far, but he has this quality about him and all that he's done, even what he did for Alpha Academy, which was amazing. He literally took he made chicken salad out of what, right? And did a great job of doing it and showcased a lot of his personality of humor and just being one of those, shoosh, just so annoying as the part of the beginning of their intro and their theme song. So all these avenues that Chad Gable has gone through and all these roads he's taken, and then now we finally had the ability when he got in the ring with Gunther the first time to showcase more of the person of what Chad Gable is, a family man, of course, and his kids, and it just. The more Chad Gable was doing these vignettes, and listen, I love Sami Zayn. Really happy that he has an opportunity now to go for the IC title, right? But I was more invested in terms of story in Chad Gable. I wanted to see him in that spot because I felt as much as Sami Zayn, kind of pitched his feelings of losing confidence and things like that, and that was great as well what he did. I felt more for Chad. I wanted Chad to get this opportunity. Not that he was going to succeed at WrestleMania, but have this match at WrestleMania to showcase who he really was. I feel he earned it, not necessarily deserved it. And after all he's done, he's proven that no matter what you give him, he's going to give it his all, and he's going to make it work or die trying, basically. So, yes, I felt for him. There's still a shot for him to be in WrestleMania, but it won't be for the IC title. But another thing, Jeff, that I take away from what Triple H would say on the post shows, right, in the post press conferences after events, he's like, You can't put everything together at once. As much as fans are rooting for him, and maybe this is a great sign for Chad Gable in the future. Who knows? I mean, a lot can happen, and people want to say, "Oh, you should do it now." But again, you want to wait. As much as people want to now, you want to wait because there's a better payoff supposedly down the road, and I think there is a payoff for Chad Gable, and I think there is a potential after this being an example of the company be like, you know what? If we put Chad Gable in another situation now, not that they don't know it already, we can trust him. He's going to give it 100%. Had a great match with Sammy. Could have gone either way, but at the end of the day, you saw the emotion in his face. You saw he was crushed. But at the end of the day, he took his loss like a man and said, "You know what? That's it. I'm not gonna continue this right now. It's not for me right now," and move on. So you felt that. You felt his emotion. You felt bad for him, and that's what you want as a superstar, Jeff. Right? You want to feel the emotions that these superstars are going because you're vicariously living through them. We talked about that with Cody, and now with Chad too. We're seeing this evolution of Chad Gable, where I feel that he's got a potential to do a lot more after WrestleMania in terms of really getting himself more known, separating himself from Alpha Academy.
So my only issue with this is that while people think it's a missed opportunity, I think that you're right. You can't put too much on this card because everything's centered already. You've got Bailey and Io Sky. You've got Rhea and Becky Lynch. You've got these two humongous main events that are coming up between Rock and Roman and Seth and Cody, and then Cody and Roman. And this could get lost. Well, it would be an amazing moment. The Philly fans would go nuts because Chad Gable, it would be the ultimate underdog and ending Gunther's streak. But it could get lost in that whole night. And they probably want to make this be a little bit more significant. Now, I would be tempted to do this at WrestleMania because Philadelphia is an underdog town, underdog city. And it would be great story.
Not anymore. I'm not buying that anymore with Philly.
It has the reputation. You've got obviously the Eagles that are obviously a Super Bowl contender.
It ain't Rocky Balboa town anymore, Jeff. I'm sorry.
It would have been great to see maybe, a little Sylvester Stallone trying to coach Gable, but that just would have been how I would have tried to do it. But again, we'll see. But again, while people think it's a missed opportunity, you might have just too much stuff going on here at WrestleMania. And obviously, I think that the chapter
Triple H said himself too. There are many chapters involved in this.
I don't think is closed on Chad Gable. The fans are gonna cheer for him even more. All right, Trendsetter. Coming off of Monday Night Raw, we had a tremendous SmackDown, and obviously we didn't get a chance to talk about this, but let's talk about the slap heard around the world. Let's talk about this past SmackDown where The Rock finally came face to face with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, met up in the ring, and obviously the challenge was accepted by Seth. And then Cody Rhodes was able to kind of get the little parting shot with The Rock as he fired back at The Rock after messing with the man's dog, Pharaoh, after just talking all the smack on Cody. He said, bleep your story. And obviously got smacked around at the WrestleMania press conference. Cody Rhodes gets his revenge and slaps The Rock, and we left it at that. But just the magnitude of that slap heard around the world on SmackDown, man. And obviously, you fans watched it because SmackDown with a 2,439,000 viewership. I don't know why I can't say that right. 2,439,000 people watched that on SmackDown on Fox with a demo of 0.69 between the 18 and 49 rating. And listen, thank WrestleNomics for those numbers. But your thoughts on that smack heard around the world?
Well, don't worry about mispronouncing the numbers, Jeff. I know those are high numbers. You've never really seen numbers that high before in your life.
5. I mean,
I understand. Before I dive into that, Jeff, just gotta go back. Like, look at the camera guy. Yeah. He's like really getting in there. Like he wants to see The Rock's veins explode from his head as Seth Rollins is screaming at him from having a midlife crisis. It's great stuff, man. It really is. I'm sure a lot of people thought when The Rock came back that this was the match everybody wanted, the fantasy matchup, Roman Reigns and The Rock. And my God, the promos that would be said here, and it's the bloodline, and there's turmoil in the bloodline, and somebody's trying to get the ownership and become the new tribal chief, all this stuff, right? But I feel even in this story, they've done a great job of showcasing, first of all, something we never thought we'd see in a while. When The Rock came back, every time he came back, people would go crazy. They still do, but he's a heel now. And he's going out there and taking his liberties, and I'm loving every single moment of it. The Rock's not afraid. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to find The Rock? Honestly, he's basically the boss. You're not going to find him anything. You're not going to bleep him. I mean, they will obviously bleep him, but
like the intro?
Oh, amazing intro, man. And again, when it comes to showcasing and the packaging of how you present things, nobody does it, I feel, better than The Rock right now. I mean, Roman's a close second too, and you can tell in that lineage, in that family lineage, that the things are really similar too. But listen, as much as people love that Roman Reigns entrance, man, and they put the ones up in the air, and the time of the manner in which he walks down there, similar to Randy Orton, takes his time to get down the ring. You're like, just get down the ring, god damn it. The Rock does an amazing job, and then obviously feeling those goosebumps on his arm and slapping his arm. It's all real, and the mere fact that you had Seth Rollins get in his face, and then the whole scenario where, of course, Rock had to repeat 3 or 4 times that if when Roman and Rock defeat him, the Bloodlines are going to do everything they can to make sure Cody does not finish the story, does not win the championship. But then to end it too, and then this is where I'll bring it up with Jeff, because he was getting into it, he was loving the back and forth, but as soon as Rock went in and talked about Cody's family and said that Cody was was a mistake. And Cody brings out the microphone. All of a sudden, you're seeing the ending credits to SmackDown. You're like, what's going on? It's going to be Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. We're going to end on, they ran out of time. And then Cody slaps him. And Rock has a sinister, evil look on his face as he turns and looks at Cody. And we go black and we go dark. And it's over. I turned to Jeff when I saw it. And Jeff's like, like he was getting
goosebumps here, dude.
Goosebumps from it, and that's the amazing thing about it. You took something that was different, you turned it into this, and dude, like, as much as we love talking about this, I kind of feel bad in a certain way for all the other stories about, all the other things going on for WrestleMania. We have the Becky Lynches, the Rhea Ripleys, the Baileys, which nobody's talking about. But again, everyone's focused on this, which is why SmackDown hit the numbers they did.
Imagine them not getting that in. That would have been nuts.
That would have been Shawn and Brett all over again.
Crew was rushing to let them know, and luckily they were able to get the post, the slap, and then the reaction before they cut before they just cut off the air. So that's network TV. What are you going to do? It's so much easier to extend or do an overrun on cable TV.
Yeah, but it felt similar to, remember Survivor Series, it ended, and we're like, well, some Punk's not coming out. They did the end credit. You think it's going to go to black off the air, and then boom, CM Punk's music hits. You didn't expect it, right? Same thing with this. You thought we were going to miss out on Cody's reaction. We're going to find out following on Raw what's going to happen. And
that was unintentionally, though. That was Triple H just playing that little game with you guys.
I know. That was the exciting thing about it. You thought it was over, and then all of a sudden the slap comes in, and you're like, oh, wow, this is great.
Yeah. Yep. So, so interesting to see what happens there. And, of course, you got Bayley and Dakota Kai coming up this Friday night on SmackDown, and we'll review that, actually, on the next show. All right, Trendsetter. Real quick on AEW Dynamite, the debut of Kazuchika Okada got big business that we're going to preview on the next show. Obviously, we know who's going to debut, but just your thoughts as we talk Dynamite for a second here. They talk about the ratings, they talk about game changers, they talk about this new era. Obviously, we got a brand new set, got new graphics, but if anything, it just got worse with the viewership. And they were talking about this, and they were hyping this up, and this was, a new season of AEW. But as much as they talked about it, the end result was 779,000 viewership with Okada, who joined the Elite. And obviously, you got to get bang for your buck. And when you find out the price tag on Okada, obviously this was something that WWE was not going to touch. And obviously, a lot of people are talking about how he was loyal to the Bucks. He's got a friendship with them, and that's kind of what changed his mind. Let's be honest, though. $4.5 million reasons why he chose AEW. Because
I was about to say, Jeff, I don't care how good of friends you and I are. 4.5 million is 4.5 million.
I'd be telling you, sell out. Go to go to whatever. And so WWE was not going to touch that. Obviously, Barry Bloom, who obviously is the agent for a bunch of these wrestlers in AEW, got Okada paid. So he got the bag, and congratulations, more power to them. And I can bet you there's going to be a lot of wrestlers that are going to be calling Barry Bloom's numbers like, hey, let me get paid too. So we'll talk about I want to talk about that down the road, because that's going to be something very interesting. Tony does have deep pockets, but man, $4.5 million, and then you get a 779,000 viewership on TBS. That's insane, Trendsetter. And this is post Sting, so you want to see what happens. You wanted to see what was going to go on. Maybe the curiosity of a new AEW, but then you got a very low viewership. So that to me is just I don't know, man. And obviously, you got Will Ospreay there, and they break down the quarters. And Ospreay did not have a good showing as well, coming off a what people liked his matchup at Revolution. So puzzling, but again, we'll see what happens down the road, especially with the expected debut of Mercedes Moné again, which we'll talk about on the next show. But are you worried that even Okada couldn't push that needle up to at least 850 or close to 900,000?
No, I mean, to say I was worried would be if I expected anything different. I didn't expect anything different. I didn't think the numbers were going to go up high. Even if they did, I felt that we're going to be going up that substantially. Just for the fact that here's the thing, Jeff. Right? We can have the biggest star in the world, but if nobody knows he's there, and I'll get to my point. What I mean by that, then it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change the show. Yes, I'm paying a star to be on the show, but nobody knows he's there. The issues going on that you and I have been constantly talking about with AEW, and we'll talk about this further on in the next show, of course, is that the honeymoon's over. It's been over for a long time now. The honeymoon stage is there. Now the critics are really going to critique as they are now. I don't consider you and I critics. We're just kind of stating what we're seeing, and we want it to be good. We want it to succeed. We're not just hoping for it to fail. I don't want AEW to go out of business, but the honeymoon phase is over. Now it's like, guys, what's your identity? And it's clear for me, it's more about wrestling and the fantasy matchups that we're seeing, which are great. Hey, I'm not complaining. Love to watch them, right? But the general audience that you're trying to get is not interested in it. The die hardcore, the small demographic of the people that you're reaching, they're watching. They're always watching. They're part of the numbers you just said. What Tony Khan and AEW is failing to do right now is an opportunity is trying to garner that other audience. And I'm sorry, and this isn't an offense to Okada. This isn't an offense to Will Ospreay. This isn't an offense to Mercedes Moné, even if she does find her way to AEW. We'll see if that happens, right? But yeah, those names are impressive, but you're not building around it. You're not making these guys the faces of your company so people know who they are. Mercedes Moné probably has the better opportunity of bringing more eyes to AEW because they've seen her on WWE programming. So that's the thing. We talked about building stars, right? And this has been the Briggs problem. They had a lot of momentum and they had the opportunity of building within the people they signed to make them stars. But right now, AEW is in the transition where they need to find out, one, what makes a star in their opinion, and two, how do you promote it? In my opinion, they have failed to do both because you and I are still trying to figure that out. And right now, they're trying to present stars, but we don't know what they are. And you muted yourself, Jeff.
And here's my thing. I love Tony Khan. I love the dude, and I would love to work for him because I would have absolutely no pressure whatsoever. Because I am not held to the show me the results. I can just go in there, do my match, and as long as I shed a tear in his eye and I get a Meltzer star rating, I'm good. I don't have to draw him money. I don't have to give him a rating. As long as I go in there and I give him a good quarter hour in my segment, and not even that, because that's not even his expectation. I'm good. So why wouldn't I want to work for Tony Khan? Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no pressure there, honestly.
If I get the Brinks truck sent to my backyard, and all I have to do is show up, perform, put a little tear in his eye, and get him off his chair, and then get a good Meltzer star rating, anywhere between 3 and 5 stars every time out there, which he's giving them out like candy nowadays. Why wouldn't I want to work for the guy? I don't have to give him a rating. I don't have to draw him money. So, man, I'm good. Tony Khan, I love you. I would love to work for you any day. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's more of a freedom they have there, and they have no direction. It's not like we need you to do this, we need you to do that, as you probably would get in other promotions where they're trying to obtain a certain goal of a demographic they're trying to reach, and they want you to do certain things in a match or do things when you're backstage doing live segments, it really feels like a free for all. It really does. And it's a scenario where, hey, you can act ridiculous all you want because it feels like from the roster standpoint, nobody's paying attention anyway. So we'll just do this and we'll just kind of, instead of giving it 100%, not that they're not trying, but we're not going to go all the way out because at the same time, we're trying to save ourselves for, what knows down the future.
I tell you back to differ. I think they do go all out and they do these insane things instead of being safe. Where I would have been like, "Whoa, listen, they don't expect that much out of me. I'm going to go half-ass." But these guys actually go full ass, and they still not are drawing or not drawing a dime or nothing like that. But hey,
Jeff, you're talking about the Darby Allins. He has to do those things because that's the only way he gets attention. So, yeah, I mean, he goes all out because that's the only way Darby knows how to get attention, using him as an example, or jumping in and doing what Orange Cassidy does. But we're talking about the stars like Will Ospreay and stuff like that. Yeah, he is going. His matches are tough, hard hitting, because that's all he knows to do. The point I'm trying to say is the fact that they're not going all, meaning they're not going all out in terms of trying to increase their star power because they know they got the money in the bank. It's different when you have an incentive where, like, you know what, I get this contract here. I need to live up to this contract because I'm working for the next one. But when you're in Okada and you get 4.5, and if Mercedes Moné, she wants 6 figures,
making 5. She's got to be making 5.
I know, but when you get that money, yeah, it's cool to get that money. But as we know, and it's a bad comparison, Jeff, when you compare sports and sports entertainment, but same thing. When people get what they feel they're paid for, they act differently as opposed to when they're hungry and they want more.
Yeah. I mean, again, too. What worries me about Will Ospreay is just the longevity. Because you look at that matchup of Revolution, you look at that matchup against Kyle Fletcher, you're paying a high premium for these guys, and for them to get injured but not draw you any cash, not get your rating, not even be a top merch seller. I mean, we're going to find out, but it might be a little bit too early. So we're not burying them as far as like, hey, let's wait and see. But we will wait and see what happens, and we will see if Okada, Ospreay, and Mercedes Moné will be game changers for AEW. And then Trendsetter, let's also really quick on Mercedes Moné. The only thing she spoke about was she thanked WWE. Obviously, she's going to be in AEW, but then towards the end said that, hey, I'm going to be back in WWE. If you're Tony Khan, does that bother you?
Yeah, it would bother me because you're like, hey, if I'm paying you this much because I want you to be part of AEW for the long haul, and then you're saying you'll be back in WWE. Now, if she was saying that in the sense of a judge, like, I'll be back in WWE, who knows? Maybe 5, 6, 7 years from now, Hall of Fame, whatever, which, that is up for debate when people want to debate it, right, in terms of what she's accomplished in WWE, then yeah. But it didn't sound as if she said, in my opinion, that, in the next 2 or 3 years, who knows, I'll be back. If I'm Tony Khan, I don't like that comment at all.
And here's the thing, too. She mentioned more WWE than AEW because it's supposed to be a surprise. Hint in parentheses, because we know it's the worst kept secret. But she can't talk about AEW on that podcast. She's got to talk about her time in WWE. She thanks WWE. She thanks for the opportunities. It was the hardest thing to walk out on her life's ambition, and her dream was to work for WWE. And yeah, so you might catch me on my wrestling journey. That's all you said. Everything was WWE. And then to kind of have that focal point be like, hey, I'll see you in WWE down the road. Triple H is like, Mercedes, continue your wrestling journey. I'll see you in 2025. I want you to keep an eye on Chris Statlander for us, and then we'll both see you in around 2025 and 2026. That's, to me, what I took out of it, too. So that had to be good bang for your buck, Tony, there. I'm betting you it's like $5 million that he's dishing out for Mercedes Moné. Will she be a game changer? Obviously, we'll discuss that. We'll talk about.
She needs to be healthy first. That's a big thing for her. She has the possibility. She has the potential of being a game changer.
Everybody.
She needs to be healthy.
She has, out of everybody that they've signed, she has the biggest potential to do so. Obviously, you talked about she almost had a career-ending ankle injury too, so we'll see if that is if that's fully healed. But obviously, it's wait and see with that. But looking forward to AEW this week. Trendsetter, the Hall of Fame just gets bigger and bigger. We got Paul Heyman we were able to talk about. And then also, too, Bull Nakano makes the Hall of Fame. Muhammad Ali, the U.S. Express. And then finding out that Thunderbolt Patterson also joins the list. I don't know if we get any more names there for the Hall of Fame, but it's going to be a pretty star-studded night on Friday, after Friday Night SmackDown during WrestleMania weekend. The Hall of Fame That's the up-to-date names now that are in the Hall of Fame. Just real quick, man. Obviously, Paul Heyman heads the list, but that's not a bad group of names there joining Paul in this year's class of 2024.
No, that class, you said it yourself, man. It's a good one, and it's probably gonna be headed by Paul Heyman, of course, the Philadelphia roots of ECW, and that'll be the final one there too. But you know, when you look at how can I word this properly? When you look at this class, and the Muhammad Ali, obviously, Nakano, U.S. Express, Rotunda, and Barry Windham, that'll be a good one. I think it's more of just you see in this version of it, in my opinion, this is the Paul Levesque selection of the Hall of Fame. This isn't the Vince McMahon selection. And it's true, too. This is the first for him of selecting the Hall of Famers that he feels deserves to be in it. So I feel this is the first of many that we're going to see individuals. And I'm sure a lot of people, listen, wrestling fans are loyal, right? To a fault. But they're loyal and they remember all the time. But sometimes they forget a little bit. And so I'm sure come the following class, and I'm sure there's one last inductee to be inducted in there, you're gonna be like, oh, of course that guy should have been in there. Of course that girl should have been in there. It's at the longest time. I think we're gonna start seeing that down the road. So I'm really excited about this class. I like it. Of course, headed by Paul Heyman himself, the special counsel, and then I can't wait to hear that speech. But when you've heard him talk on TMZ, for example, he's the same Paul Heyman that doesn't like talking about his past accomplishments. I think that's just part of his personality. He doesn't like talking about the past, but he'll have no choice but be forced to talk about it and discuss it because he's avoided it for a while now. He's rejected it a few times, as he stated on TMZ, and not have accepted it here for where it's located and where it is. Couldn't have picked a better spot to do it in.
So obviously, those are your names up to date, and like I said, actually, the Trendsetter just so eloquently said there might be one or two more names, or maybe one more. You never know, but the latest one is Thunderbolt Patterson. And then to wrap it up, Trendsetter, as now we officially talk about the road to WrestleMania. Let's talk about this. Obviously, Sami Zayn and Gunther has been added to the card, but also another match that's been added to the card is the six-pack ladder match challenge for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship. Finn Balor and Damian Priest. We have yet to find out. These teams will qualify starting Monday night. So we'll see who qualifies for these matches. But obviously,
I love it.
It's going to be a tough road for the Judgment Day here for Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Obviously, a ladder match is brought back into into WrestleMania, so that should be a very good matchup. And obviously, it's going to be a long night for Damian Priest and Finn Balor to have their titles hanging up really high on a ladder. I don't know. It just does not bode well for the Judgment Day. But obviously, a ladder match comes back to WrestleMania, Trendsetter. Honestly, it used to be the Money in the Bank, but now the tag team titles will be up there. And last time we got a surprise for a tag team, but I don't think we're gonna get a surprise now. But your thoughts on the tag team six-pack challenge, a ladder match?
Well, you never know. Never say never, right? In this industry, Jeff, that you and I are covering. I'm excited for it. You know how much I love tag team wrestling. Unfortunately, tag team division hasn't been that deep in terms of teams. They really haven't showcased it as much. I'm hoping I'm hoping after this match at WrestleMania, they'll start doing a little bit more. Here's another road for Chad Gable and Alpha Academy to be part of this six-pack challenge.
It's going to be Tozawa and Otis. So.
Oh, okay. Tozawa and Otis. All right, so there you go. That my dreams, and as long as Chad Gable got crushed right there, Jeff. Thank you so much. You could have waited till after the show to tell me that, but okay, all right, whatever.
Rather me tell you than have some schmuck on the internet say, "Hey, he doesn't even know that Tozawa was actually in there for a set of Chad."
Yeah, but I wouldn't pay attention to it anyway, so I wouldn't care.
You're the Trendsetter.
Exactly. I don't care anymore. It's cool. It's going to be great to watch tag team wrestling. It's going to be probably something that starts off the show, maybe night one, because there's going to be a lot of electricity there. So it's to see. I'm curious to see what they're doing with the titles too. I know we have the Raw and the SmackDown championships, the unified titles, but who knows what's going on here? I think right now we've seen the scenario, what they've done with the women's championship, what they've done with the men's championships. You can clearly see, obviously, the Intercontinental title and the U.S. title, two separate entities on two separate shows. You haven't seen that for the World Tag Team titles. They've unified them, yes, but are we going to get new titles? Is there going to be an unveiling at WrestleMania? I'm kind of hoping for that. And at the same time, are we going to separate them again? Are we going to separate down? There's be a SmackDown champion, there'll be a Raw champion, or will they have the scenario we're having now, which I like personally, where the tag team champions defended everywhere. They defended on SmackDown. They defended on Raw. They defended on NXT. I think one thing's for sure, though. I feel they should get rid of the two titles, the red and the blues. And I don't like that look anymore. That's the old regime. I want there to be a new regime here. So that's what I want for the tag team championships.
So obviously, once we find out who makes the cut and who becomes part of this this match, we'll find out the betting odds here for Vegas. But just want to make sure specifically before we wrap up the show, we get you up to date now for you guys, because listen, betting's a thing, man, and we don't hide from it. I'm not a betting guy, but there's people that want to do that. So if you want the latest odds, we'll actually keep it up to date for you guys here as well. You know that Gunther and Sami Zayn, we know that. If you heard it previously, we opened up the show, we talked about that. You know the odds there. But real quick, Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch, everyone's pulling for mommy. She's at -400. Becky Lynch starts at +250. And then Io Sky in a match of, obviously you mentioned before, a match that people are kind of forgetting, and it's kind of in the back burner, has been Io Sky and Bayley. Bayley is a heavy favorite to walk away from WrestleMania. She's at -1250, and Io Sky is at +550. So right now, Bayley, the way you're doing, I mean, you're not going to get any money if you bet on Bayley to win here, because obviously that's where she's favored at here. And then, Drew obviously is favored, and Cody Rhodes. And so obviously as we head down, the line might change, but some of these really are kind of pointing in the direction that we think they are, Trendsetter. And obviously looking forward to to recapping SmackDown and getting into this AEW big business on the next show as well. We are presented by Fast Break Coffee. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe here on the Give Us a Shot Network too. Also on all our YouTubes too here on Give Us a Shot and High Spot Podcast, HSP Media. And again, always presented by the good friends here at Fast Break Coffee. Follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast, on the IG, on the X. And who knows, maybe in TikTok, maybe it comes to a close pretty soon. You never know. So make sure you check us out there as well. And also too on all Apple Podcast platforms. Well, what are you grinning there, Trendsetter? This TikTok thing might go away. So we're glad we have other social media places where you can reach out to us. But again, very happy to be doing this and providing all this content for you guys. Again, we are the High Spot Podcast. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. And I leave it off to Trendsetter to bid us all a goodbye and farewell for today's show.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Jeff. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the High Spot Podcast. I am the Trendsetter. He is my tag team partner, the Scoundrel, Jeff Martin. Love that hat in the background, Jeff. Thank you. And
wear that eventually.
I know, eventually got to wear that. It's a good hat. It's a good hat. I like it. But guys, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And again, this road to WrestleMania, it's getting closer and closer. Before you know it's gonna be over. And I'm excited for what we're going to be doing in terms of content here leading to it. But at the same time, it's like everyone's favorite or least favorite day, December 26th and January 2nd, because it's going to be hard to live up to this hype right now. The WWE is going a long way, as they should. And it's the time of the season where, like, I haven't felt the excitement in a long time. You're feeling it now, guys, and you guys are doing it with us. So we thank you so much for that. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. And guys, remember, on this road to WrestleMania, it hasn't just been Jeff and I. It's been doing it with you guys, the crew.
Make sure you get that Fast Break Coffee, Trendsetter, so you get more pep in your stuff for the next episode.